from the word self-love means one being able to love themselves, right? Wrong. Contrary to popular belief that self-love is you being able to love yourself, I find that concept is actually not wholesome enough, because if you really think about it, self-love is not, it doesn't come from self, because you cannot love yourself. It's outsourced. Nobody, no human has the ability to love themselves. No human has the ability to love self. I don't understand what you're talking about. How can you say self-love is not you being able to love yourself? Relax. I'm here for you. Now, when I say self-love is outsourced, what do I mean? I mean that for you to be able to love yourself adequately, you will need to tap into a source that is bigger than you in order for you to actually be able to have self-love. Now, I know that a lot of you are saying, Amy, you're confusing me. Amy, you're confusing me. You said that I cannot adequately love myself the way I should. You said that self-love doesn't mean me actually loving myself. So what then is self-love, and how can someone really, tap into it? How can someone really access self-love if it doesn't mean me being able to love myself? Now, let me tell you. The only way to really love yourself the way you truly deserve to be loved is when you are able to awaken your spirituality. When I say awaken your spirituality, I'm not talking about becoming religious now. It's not you become religious. Because me personally, I'm not a religious person. I'm more of a spiritual person. And the reason why I say go for spirituality rather than religion is that religion actually requires you to go through the motions of activities, just do stuff that your heart is not connected to. Your heart is not what you are doing. You are just doing it for doing sake. You cannot be spiritual. You cannot do spirituality without your heart. You cannot do spirituality absent-minded. You cannot do spirituality without being fully committed. Spirituality will require your body, spirit, soul, everything about you, your mind. It will require all of you. But religion doesn't necessarily need you committed. It just needs you to do certain things that you need to do. Just keep doing activities, not getting to the crux of the matter. It's just you doing stuff that you are not committed to, that your heart is not in. Spirituality will require all of you. And that's why I say go for spirituality rather than religion. Why is spirituality point so important? It is so important because it allows you or helps you reconnect to your creator. That's the first thing. It helps you connect with God. Now, once you are able to connect with God, what that does for you is that it helps you to build a relationship with God. So your connection to the spiritual allows your relationship with God to be built. The only way to become friends with somebody is when you have access to the person. When you begin to talk to the person, both of you begin to talk to each other. That's how relationships are built. That's how you become friends with somebody. That's how all kinds of relationship, whether friendship, relationship, relationship between spouses, that's how it's built. You cannot build a relationship without having access, without speaking, without interacting with people, without connecting with them. So you're being able to awaken your spirituality allows you to connect with God, and secondly, it allows you to build a relationship with Him. Once you're able to build a relationship with God, there is the kind of love that is produced. Love is produced in that relationship. And the love that is produced in that relationship begins to flow into your own life. When that love flows into your life, that's when you can really say, I love myself. Because that love is what teaches you how to love yourself. Because when you think about it, that love doesn't come from you. That love is not your love. That love is God's love flowing into your life and teaching you how to love yourself. Teaching you what love truly means. So if you've not experienced this type of love, if you've not experienced the love that comes from your relationship with God, then you are not going to be able to love yourself. You're not going to be able to love your boo. You're not going to be able to love your babe. You're not going to be able to love your children, your neighbors. So that's why I said in the beginning of this that our collective self-love reflects in our society. Our society mirrors our individual and collective self-love, because you see how this love that I've explained has a ripple effect. You have a relationship with God, that relationship produces love that flows into your life. When it flows into your life, you begin to love yourself. You know what it means to love yourself. Once you love yourself, you can love your neighbor, because you only love your neighbor to the degree that you love yourself. So you love your neighbor, and because you love your neighbor, you do not do anything that will hurt your neighbor. You do not do things that will cause your neighbor harm, evil, and all of you, and what have you. But when you've not experienced this kind of love, you cannot truly love boo. You cannot love babe. You cannot love your children. You cannot love your neighbors. You cannot love your family members. You can try to love them, but you cannot love them the way they deserve. You cannot love them to the degree that they are supposed to be loved, because your self-love concept, what you understand by self-love, is not actually self-love. So do we see why it's so important for each and every one of us to fully understand, grasp what it truly means to love yourself?